Titans and Jaguars are in prime time. Colin, a bit of a curveball here.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel, coach of the Titans, who you like a lot, announced yesterday that Joshua Dobbs, who had only attempted 17 career passes before last Thursday, is getting the start over rookie Malik Willis. Obviously, Dobbs has been in the league for a minute. He was at Pittsburgh. Listen, the guy's thrown passes. Malik Willis is not completing passes.
Also, something that has to be noted, he is a 4-point chemical engineer major in college. So the kid is functioning at a really high level, which is
not look rattled against Dallas at all.
No, I thought he looked really good. They don't have anybody to throw to. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh, well, that's... Who knows?
Yeah, this isn't an indictment of Malik Willis. He's just not ready for a win and in playoff.
Yeah, he played at Liberty. This kid played it in the SEC.
Remember the Malik Willis game against Kansas City? I think it was Sunday Night Football.
I don't.
He threw like 4 passes, or 4 completions. It was like, you're not going to succeed doing that.
Yeah.
The Jags are considerable favorites. I think it's a touchdown.
Joshua Dobbs is. I'm interested to watch that.
I'll just say this: the Titans rested almost everyone relevant last week against the Cowboys. They will be very fresh for this game. I don't think it's a slam dunk that the Jags win this one. It's going to be close. I don't know if the Titans are winning, but it's going to be close.
J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie.
I'm trying to kind of weave this through the show today as appropriately as I can. Athletes want to play, and you often have to talk them out of playing. I saw this quote this morning from Tom Brady, who said it would bother him to sit out of a meaningless Week 18 finale. This is a 45-year-old quarterback with 7 trophies. Here's Tom.
It's always up to coach, but, yeah, that would bother me. I've missed a game other than my ACL. And, and then 2016, I missed the first 4 games. So other than that, I played them all.
We had Ryan Shazier on this show. He was terrific. About 2 months ago or a month ago, had to retire, injured severely. It was a life-altering injury. Similar to this, very scary. Kind of a gutting, difficult to watch, made you nervous. That's how I felt last night. I'm sure that's how many of you felt. And I remember asking this question, and I didn't know if I should ask it, but he was just so open. And I just asked him, if you look at the injury in your career, if you could do it all over again, knowing where you're at today, would you change anything? If you could do it all over again with the knowledge you have, would you play again?
100%. I wouldn't even, if I can right now, if I just was able to stop what I was doing, not stop what I was doing, wake up tomorrow and it was like, hey, Ryan, you're 100% healthy, I would call Coach Tomlin and like, hey, I know I won't be able to play this week versus the Ravens, but, hey, let me figure out if I can, work my way back to being on the team.
Not everybody thinks like you or me. There are people that I grew up in a small rural town on the coast of Washington State. None of you have heard of it. Grayland, Washington. Aptly named. Grayland, Washington. Gray a lot. And there's a show, I'm not sure if it's still on the air, it's called Deadliest Catch, commercial fishing in Alaska. And a football teammate, the toughest guy in my high school, Wade Henley, middle linebacker, great guy. He was on that show. And I watched that show, and I think it's terrifying. Water coming over the boat. If you get your leg caught in the rope, the crab nets, you're overboard, it's over. But there's an adrenaline to it, and those guys take great pride in it. You couldn't get me on a boat like that. Oil derricks, football players, UFC fighters. When I was a local sportscaster, I once did a piece on a race car driver, and I got in the car. Terrifying. Absolutely, I should have been talked out of it. And so for Ryan Shazier to say that is that not everybody is built like me. Not everybody, there are people that run into buildings to save people during fires and shootouts. And those people are so valuable. And that's why when a player gets hurt, you can't go to the player first. You have to go to the doctors. Sometimes players have to be kind of safe from themselves. Football is a very unique sport. And sometimes I just wonder is that I was a pretty squirrely, immature kid, 17, 18, 19, 20 into college. One of the things you're finding out about Damar Hamlin is the charity, the toy drive he's been part of. I don't go to as many games as I used to, but when I was local in Tampa or Portland, Oregon, or Las Vegas, there would often be toy drives. I think Rasheed Wallace in Portland did a coat drive. I'm always amazed at how much athletes give back. Obviously, we pay or we watch, and they're entertaining us. But last night is a stark reminder that we also have to protect them. They give a ton to our communities. All my years of doing this, I'm taken back how lucky these leagues are to have these young people who are so committed. I mean, a football season ends, and if you take 3 weeks off, you're almost shamed. You have to get back in practice. They work so hard. A college player getting ready for the pros, he'll go to Florida and Phoenix the minute his season is over and train right into a professional OTA. That's why many rookie players by week 13 or 14 are more prone to injury and exhaustion. They call it hitting a wall because they've literally gone a year straight. No time off, no vacation, no resting your body, trying to be a professional. So much of what makes sports gripping is the good emotion. I've been watching some of these bowl games, and I don't even know any of these players, and they're so emotional, and my heart goes out to a kid who misses a kick. So it's understood. I was sick to my stomach last night. I just was sick to my stomach. I did not want to go on social media. I didn't have anything I could add. Disappointed by some of the stuff I saw. But in the end, this is a stark reminder that athletes are not just here for our entertainment. They have to be protected at whatever costs it takes. Now, it's football. It's really fast and it's really strong. But this is why they put in those roughing the passer penalties, and this is why they put in all these regulations. This is exactly why. This is the greatest fear for anybody who loves sports. We've all thought about this. I saw something at a college game yesterday where a football player for Tulane was knocked out. And I mean, I just felt sick. So we're all crossing our fingers. We're hoping for very good news. We are going to cover some sports today, but we'll keep coming back to this. It's going to be a somber show and should be a little somber today. I will say this. There is a story, a college story that's becoming a pro story, that Jim Harbaugh will accept the job for the Denver Broncos if he is offered the job. Now, I had said yesterday, I think Michigan's a wonderful, wonderful place. He's done a great job. I wouldn't leave. But I was told by later yesterday afternoon, they're going to offer him $20 million. So that kind of changes things. Number one is, in college football, when you're paid a lot as a coach, you often feel guilty because the players aren't being compensated.
Wentz for Taylor Heineke didn't seem to go over too well in the locker room. Wentz 3 picks in a 24-10 loss to the Browns. Wow. Ron Rivera was asked yesterday if he regretted making the change at quarterback. Here's what he had to say.
To me, it was always about winning, and that it was in our hands. I mean, we control our destiny, basically, and that's the truth of the matter. Being 0-2-1 in the last 3 games was probably the thing that really pushed me more than anything else, and that's what I looked at. And as I said, coming off of the last quarter of the 49er game, I was relatively optimistic in terms of feeling what Carson could do.
I don't know. But that's a rough one for Rivera. It's going to be a tumultuous offseason in Washington, likely. We know Dan Snyder maybe selling the team.
Yeah, big picture, they have to get somebody to engineer this offense, and currently they don't have them in the building.
Yeah.
Wentz
it makes you wonder about what does Carson Wentz go from here? I don't know that there's a spot for him.
He's also not cheap, so you're spending money on somebody that's just right now. He's I think it's over.
If you're looking for a team that could get in the Derek Carr sweepstakes, Washington has a very good fleet of receivers, but Carr has a no-trade clause.
Right. Derek Carr can control where he goes. So I know David Carr. David said yesterday, stability is going to be key. So you're not going to Washington. You're not going to Houston.
Indianapolis feels... No.
Indianapolis, to me, was always a great job. And then in the last 6 months to a year, it's gotten very impulsive. So Indianapolis now has kind of joined a group of teams I'd stay away from because I think the owner's making all the calls, or most of them. So Indy, Washington.
I think you can write off. Did you say Houston? Yeah, I think you want to get write them off. Lovie Smith is doing some things this week.
So I think the Jets' ownership is suboptimal to me, but I love the GM. I like the coach. I think the roster is really close. That one feels right. Also, Derek's been, the Raiders are a big brand. Derek's been in big games for a long time. He's not going to be overwhelmed with New York and the media. That's, he's been around the league a long time.